And Amanda, welcome. Amanda Vincent. Emma. Emma Hayden. Chair. Have Madison. Bogdan. Okay. Bogdan. I know he's coming.
We have these two, they're the other two ones.
But is it Rachel? Rachel? R-A-E special. Okay, there you go. Megan or Megan? Megan.
Yeah.
Megan?
Drive?
Megan Iman?
Same.
How about Cooper? Cooper.
Have you done the same job?
What?
Have you done the
Keegan?
Huh?
Good. Samantha? Good. Sarah? Sarah? Tristan? No. Oh, wait a second. We got two Tristans. No, here you go. Randy? Joel? Alexandra? Thank you. Omar? We're back to where we started from. Who didn't get a folder? What's your name?
Sierra.
Sierra. Last name?
She just registered. I think she's
I'm getting her a folder right now.
Awesome. You're covered. And Laura. Yeah.
Just handed you her folder.
Your dad just stepped in earlier.
I just handed you her folder. Okay, great. Hang tight. Let me take this payment and then we'll be right with you. So I got you. I'll take the care of you. That's what you need. Take that home and watch it. If it's done, do you know when the final class is and what time?
Cool. I can call back and learn about it.
Why don't I tell you?
Okay. Very good. Very good. You're coming. Go ahead and open up to that first page. It's called the student record. Student record. This is going to be how we keep track of your entire work in the classroom. Okay? I'm Mr. Ritchie. Welcome to the Driver's Ed 101 at NorthStar. We got 5 weeks here in the class together straight, right? Everybody know? 5 weeks straight. Anybody not make that? Because summer's coming? Got a little vacation time coming? Anything of that sort? We're going to cover the rules, the regulations from a state perspective on how many misses you're allowed, the fact that you got to do all makeups, because you got to get so many hours here. How many hours in the classroom? You guys know? Somebody said 30 hours, okay? We're going to cover all the requirements for traffic safety education in the
Are you
state.
registered for class already?
The fact that you're no longer getting the certificate.
Go ahead.
You know why?
There's a couple of seats.
Because we upload all your scores and everything to the state directly, into their database. We're under contract to do that now.
Go ahead and come in. There's a
The state gave up the whole task of license testing.
Sierra, where are you? Sorry.
Thanks. License testing is no longer being done really by the state. We do it. We do it. They farmed it out. Just like with motorcycle testing, CDLs, things like that, just last year. It was part of a state House Act called 1635 to eliminate, reduce the wait time at the DOL offices. You know, if you went in there, it'd take like 3 hours, 4 hours to get through the line just to be seen. And all you wanted was, you know, your license renewed. No more. Wait times were probably around 3 to 5 minutes. That's because all the schools now are doing the testing. So, and that way, to your advantage, you get to have some of your own teachers, you know, in the classroom or behind the wheel, actually do the testing out there. When you're ready to both do the knowledge exam, hey Bogdan, you're here, come on in.
There you go. Here's another seat.
Go ahead and grab up front, back there, where we go. Right there. Okay? All right, and then of course your skills test will be either using one of our vehicles, if you purchased a bundled package, or your vehicle if you're more comfortable with that. And then we take you out within about a 2-mile radius of the school and cover pretty much the majority of the precise tasks we teach you behind the wheel on your drive lessons. And then now grade you for probably, you know, the first and hopefully the last time. You want your license to first try out, don't you? So, pay real close attention to how we teach you on the drive lessons, and then take that back to your parents and tell them what you learned and what you need to practice, because you don't get this anywhere else. Serious. They may still be teaching you some things about, going 5 over the speed limit, pulling the wheel where, way up on top, rolling through that stop sign, doing what Californians do, okay? We don't do that. And we stick our stops, we watch the speed limit excessively, and we got to keep it under, especially in our school zones we have around the area. You go 1 mile an hour over in a school zone, guess what? You fail your entire test. Yeah, is that harsh? Well, what would happen if a cop pulled you over? It'd be worse, wouldn't it? You'd get a ticket, plus, what would happen to that ticket? Anybody know? Parents know, yeah. You've probably seen it. It double the fine. You can't get out of a ticket that's given in a school zone, all right? So all these kinds of fine detail stuff we're going to give you in the classroom, of course, behind the wheel, and then remind you along the way. I'll give you all the requirements in just a bit, but first I want you guys to sign in. You've got to get your full 2 hours each day that you're here, so that after 5 weeks you've done 3 classes a day. 3 times 5 equals 15 times the 2 hours. You got your 30 hours, okay? So right first, oh, somebody new. What's your name? Yeah, I saw you. Steady. You got a pen? There we go. Open to that student record again. Sarah, you came in. I saw Sarah. With an H. Got a pen? Awesome. All right, student record. Write your last name first. Need a pen. I see the hand up. Incoming. Last name first, first name, middle initial. Anybody have the permit, perchance? Awesome, get that out. We're going to look at those in a little bit. And we have to keep record of them on this student record form. This is actually going to be your license number for the rest of your life here in this state. Try to memorize it. It might come in handy someday, like when you write checks and things. Okay? That's going to go in the upper right-hand corner. And it starts with your last name, the first 5 letters of your last name. If you don't have your permit yet, I issue you what's called a permit waiver online tonight after you leave class. So you can walk in tomorrow if you want to and get your permit at the state again without waiting in line so long. You don't have to take the test with that waiver, okay? So if you don't want to take the test yet, yeah. What's your name? That's your right. Okay, got a pen? All right. Got last name first rather than that first page? Yeah, all good? You go, sir. All right, everybody bring pens from now on to class. You're going to be signing all your life away. You have to sign for your license. You're going to have to sign for your permit. And by doing so, you agree to do what? Drive however you want in the roads around Washington State? No, you're going to abide by the rules of the road. You're going to agree to that. You're actually giving up some rights there, too. Because driving is what? You have a right to drive? You only have a privilege. There's no such thing as a right to drive in this country. All right? Your address, too. Make sure it's a full address with zip code, etc. Yes, sir?
Where's the closest DOL?
DOL? It depends on which day of the week, too. Mondays, it's open up in Federal Way. Saturdays, it's open up in Kent. Kent may be closing sometime soon. Tends to get a little busy there. But, yeah, they've closed down a couple of offices already. That's their goal. But those are your best choices from around here. You can always go to the DOL website, dol.wa.gov, and that's where you can find their list of offices. In fact, everybody's gonna have to go there if you're just getting your permit for the first time. This is the only way that I can upload your waiver to get your permit without taking your test, by you going there in advance and signing up on what's called License Express. In fact, parents will want to do this for themselves at some point. License Express. And click on the Join Now button. It's right on the main page. Really easy to find. Kind of orangey. Okay, click on that. You'll be asked just a few questions about your name, your social security number, things of that sort. Date of birth, of course. And that's then your account with the state, so then in the future we can upload all your scores for driver's ed, upload your scores for the knowledge exam, for the skills test, things of that sort. Without that License Express account for each of you, we wouldn't be able to do it. Okay, so write that down very carefully. I'll give you a card here in a little bit, and if you need to take that home with you and give your parents, you may do that. Excuse me. Okay, everybody caught up with the address? Put down your parents' name too, if you haven't already, both parents. Phone numbers, as many phone numbers as possible, so we have a way of getting a hold of you. In case maybe you're late for a drive, or we've got an instructor out sick or whatever, we need to get a hold of you. Okay? And then check those boxes that say yes, yes. 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 We're going to cover those requirements in just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to hand out a special card I want you to hold on to, okay? Bring it with you each and every time you take a drive lesson with us, or you do a makeup, you work on the simulator, and the simulator class is called a drive card. Put your name on the front of it. You're going to see on the back side details about your drive lessons. This is what we call the BTW phase of your driving. Scoot that way slowly. Get you guys scoot over. There's a tab. Good. Okay. Somebody already mentioned we got 30 hours of classroom experience. Okay. Today you're signing in, all right, on that line number 1, first class. You all know the date, 5/28/13. Put down the year too. Don't forget that. Time in, time out. Just do 6 to 8 p.m. We typically let you out a little early since we don't take our breaks. The state allows for a 10-minute break somewhere in between. But what we do is we just find that most parents want to pick it up for a little earlier or something, so we'll let you go early. So 10 of 8, all right? But still write down 6 to 8. The state likes to see that. Okay, there's a little column there that says makeup. You'll never have to write in that. We do that as instructors. Okay? But this is what you need to know about makeups. First, you can miss a class, but you always have to make it up. And then you have a limited number of how many misses you have. Anybody know? Have a brother or sister that went through it once before? Anybody know how many misses you're allowed? Yes, 3. That's it, exactly. So we would never write any more than 3 dates in that makeup column. Okay? But let us do it. Like if you miss tomorrow, we just write a line through there. We know that you got to make up class number 2. And we'll give you some dates, times, whatever, that you can do that. You can possibly even do it during the whole 5-week course, just at a different hour, maybe earlier at 4. Later on next month, we'll start a morning class too. Sometimes weekend classes, but at any rate, we'll let you know when you can do that. You come back on, say, Thursday, and that's going to be the 30th. So you just pick up there where you left off. Okay? No more than 3 of those lines, no more than 3 misses. If you're in danger of getting to that critical level, just let us know, and we'll try to set you up with a class at a different location, something, because we don't want you to get that. The state requires us to drop students if they have more than 3 misses. It's called contiguous education. They want you to get it all packed in there at once in this classroom with few misses so that you're in compliance with our behind the wheel element too. Okay? So you got your classroom of 30 hours. By the time you get down to that 15th lesson, of course, that'll be 30 hours. You can't take that written final until you do all the makeups. Okay? But in between time, we want to do these drive lessons. You're eligible for your first drive lesson after at least 3, 4, 5 classes. Now, are you ready for it? Yeah, it's a judgment call sometimes. We need you to get a good 5 hours of driving experience in with your parents, or extended family member, or hired soul, whatever you guys need to do. Get them their hours, because they need to practice in order to perform well on these lessons. We do some pretty intense exercises, precise maneuvers with the vehicle that you wouldn't know how to do or be able to do if you're still learning, which side of the floor the brake pedal's on, and having to look for it, or having to look for the turn signal switch. You haven't coordinated. It takes a little while, 3 hours maybe, to coordinate that skill, that eye, hand, foot coordination, and still think through what you got to do on the road out there with everybody else. Okay? It's kind of intense. We want you to have a good 5 hours. Shoot for 3, but 5 hours would be great before drive lesson 1.0, 1.5, you see that. That's just 1 hour. Sometimes if we need to split up the half hour between you and a friend or something, then we'd mark down 1.0 or just for the 1.5. But this is all about your basic maneuvers. Okay? So basic. What's a simple task behind the wheel? What would you do? Just get in the car, start, what are you doing? Huh? That's one of the first things you better be doing, absolutely. In fact, did you know this? If your key's in the ignition, and not even started up, all right? The engine's not even running. You're not driving. And your seatbelt's not on, the way the law's written, you could actually get a ticket for that. So we teach, all right? Out in the seat, get that seatbelt on first before the key in the ignition. People are going to get DUIs. If their key's just stuck in the ignition and it's not running, they're not driving, then they're above the legal limit. You can get a DUI for not even driving. And that's the way the law is written. So we want to do that, okay? It's a matter of precaution. Okay, now we should start. Driver, what's the basic maneuver? You're out there on the road. What are you going to do? Park it, okay? That gets parking on the side of the road is pretty basic. Now when we get to our parking lesson, 2.0, we want you to have another 5 hours because it's a little more precise a task lesson, all right? Parking. We're doing what's called precision maneuvers behind the wheel. And now getting in between spaces and lines and cars and things and not touching them, okay? But now when you're just starting to drive, you're doing what? Doing the gas and you're just going where? Where are you going? Where are you driving? Where are you going? Where? Forward. That's it, isn't it? That's basic. Forward. Well, how are you going forward? Like, how are you stepping on the gas? Okay, well that's basic maneuver stuff. Hopefully you got a good control over the gas pedal. Your heels where? On the floor. Gives you better control. If you got a console, you put the side of your foot up against it. It gives you better control over the gas pedal. Forwarding motion. And then you got to do what? Once you go forward, you got to always come to a stop. A complete stop. Thank you very much. None of this like rolling stop stuff. We do. We drill you on these lessons each and every time. In fact, if you don't do it, guess what? We have to do it. And we've got a special brake on our side of the vehicle. Make sure that we stop, because we don't want to roll through that. Right? And then have everybody see our logo and singing, I want to call this, why isn't your student driving your car, stopping it, stop lines and things? No. We want to make sure you stop. We'll give you the verbal prompt first. Okay? Brake and stop. Okay? Brake and stop. And then we'll ask you too, where you're supposed to stop. Anybody know where you're supposed to stop in an intersection? There's at least 3 places. What do you look for? You think you said it? Yeah, that big white line. We call it the stop line. But what if you don't have that? Now what? There's something else? What else could you have? Yeah, crosswalk line. Very good. Now some, especially your neighborhood intersections, don't have any lines whatsoever. Where are you going to stop now? Not everybody knows this one. At the corner, that's a good way to put it. okay, right at the corner before you enter the intersection. We call it the curb line. It's just sort of this imaginary line we point out to you. It actually is referenced by the seam in the pavement there. You'll see it once you get out there and looking for it. But that's the stopping point. Beyond that would be an incomplete stop and potential for a citation. So that's what we're teaching. And we got to make sure we stick all those. That's basic stuff. That's basic stuff. And making sure that you're slowing and covering and hovering over that brake and feathering it just a little. So we don't have this kind of thing going on. I've suffered enough whiplash in my life. That's basic stuff. And then what are you doing at the corner? Where are you going? Then you turn. Okay, there. Lefts and rights. Doing a lot of lefts and rights. They have to show up actually on your skills exam with the state. And guess what? They are the most valuable of all the maneuvers. About 50% more in total point scale than other maneuvers. So you want to get those down real quick. And in order to do our lessons, definitely get out and start figuring out that wheel and how many times it goes around and around and around to make a full turn or a half turn, 90 degree or 45 or something like that with it. You got to get used to it. And then maybe you got to do what at your driveway before you go to school in the morning? Yeah, pull out. How? Which direction? Backwards. So we do a lot of back. Isn't that basic? Going backwards? Who does that? We're supposed to be looking when you back up. Are your parents there? Are you getting good modeling at home? Are you watching what they're doing? Eyes, hands, feet is what we teach you in each of these maneuvers. Each lesson, we're watching what you do with your eyes, what you do with your hands, what you do with your feet too. We don't want you to be stepping on the gas, you're going backwards quickly into the street when cars are coming. Okay? We want you to be covering that brake, nice and controlled. Slower the better on these. Okay? Well, think about how often you actually really back up in the course of your day, all along your lifetime. How often are you backing up? How many times driveway? Once? Twice? How long does it take? 10 seconds? 15 seconds? The rest of the day, you're just what? You're just going forwarding. You're just forwarding. You're just forwarding. All right? Maybe 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Well, you don't really get the skill of backing up. So early on, we want to teach you what that's all about. How you hold, right, at the wheel, right at 12 o'clock. Put your arm behind the seat. Look where? The mirror. When you see, what's the best way to see when backing? You want to see where you're going, right? So you look backwards. You look in the direction that you're actually going, right? When you go forward, where are you looking? You looking to the side? No, you're looking forward. Same with backing. You got to get that down. I failed a lot of people on our backing exercise, and especially older adults that are coming back to get their licenses renewed or something in their 50s and 60s. I've failed a lot of them because maybe even they practice driving truck or something, and they're just focusing on their mirror. When you focus on your mirror, what are you failing to see? In that direction. What could be coming? We call it traffic. We call it right away. We've got to yield to that oncoming. If you're not, if you're not looking for them, and you continue in that progress, you fail automatically for failure to yield. And a lot of older adults, experienced drivers, really good drivers, are doing that sort of thing. Okay? Basic task, backing. You're going to practice that. And then I'm going to send you to your parents and say, hey, do that for another 2 or 3 hours with them. Not backing the whole time, but get practice in. Go to an open parking lot. Open school or church or even a park and ride or something on the weekend. It's pretty open, pretty clear. And just spend some time backing around the islands where there are no cars. Just do that. And slow. Nice and slow. Slower the better. That's your first lesson. 1 hour. Guess what? We're 2-3 weeks in, and we've done our first lesson. Okay. Or we've done, with Miss Patty or myself, something called the simulator class. The simulator class really is actually designed to teach you what's on all of these basic maneuvers, precision task lessons, advanced lessons later, before you get out there and have to perform. We put you, on the big screen up here. We're going to see, maybe. See it? I'm running. There he is. We'll put you up here, there's Seattle. We'll put you in advanced training, downtown environment or something, and we'll drive around some city streets, drive around traffic, maybe put in some inclement weather, throw something else at you, and get you practicing it there, thinking it through there before you get into the more intense environment of us behind the wheel. So that's our sim class. Sim class 1 actually is designed to show you all of these maneuvers. All right, we usually offer them on, say, a Friday or a Saturday in the afternoon. Miss Patty, you doing Sunday still for a simulator class too? There's another option. Or you come in like this gentleman, young lad back here, and you do it during the class on your own. You can do that too, sign up. So we give you options of things. The critical thing is to get that done early so you're ready, better ready for these lessons. Okay? Sim number 2, all right, shows you what's on 3.0 and 4.0. Now, these are your advanced lessons. Okay, stuff that you got to have a little more hours under your belt. 5 hours for the first, 5 hours for the second. Here we go. 15 hours before we get on the freeway. Bare minimum. Freeway. Ooh, yeah, I heard it. A little scared about freeway. Most students, if they're going to be afraid of these lessons, it's going to be that one in particular, because you're going at such fast speeds around such big and heavy vehicles that you're not used to, and you haven't done it before. And we'll work up to that typically, maybe with 35, 45 mile an hour road surfaces, but we want you to spend some time with your parents doing that first. And you don't have to go out on the freeway with your parents if you don't want to initially. We're perfectly fine taking you out for the first time. Let's do it not during rush hour though, shall we? We'll make sure we schedule that right. But 15 hours, shoot for that. Okay? We can actually get you in a downtown environment in actually an American city called Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we drive around the city there on the freeway at speeds of 60, 65. And then regulate the traffic, depending on what we want to do. Simulate a commuter hour or nightfall or something like that. Give you all kinds of variety on that. So we could do that first there. Then, the latter part of that simulator class is the most advanced of the lessons. Emergencies. Anything bad that could happen to your vehicle. Or to you when driving, or to others around you. Okay, or to the weather. There's so many different things that can happen. We've got a lot of risky driving scenarios in that program simulator to get you ready for that a little bit better. We can't take you out on snow and ice typically, especially obviously during the summer, but we can put you in there. How about fog? Heavy rain. Head-on collision potential. We'll throw some cars at you and see what you do to avoid that hazard. Or side traffic, or maybe your brakes go out on you while you're going up or down a hill. What are you going to do then? Okay? Well, we can do it on the programs. Emergencies. Let's get another syllable in there. Okay. We do it on the simulator. We have a lesson on it in class, and then what? We actually go out and kind of do these things with the vehicle itself in a wide open space. No one's going to be worried about us hitting them.
He's driving if you want to look.
He's actually driving?
He's just in the city driving around.
This is your downtown environment in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We can parallel park this thing over there on the side if we want to show you what that looks like. Not too far from here is you can see an embankment up there on the right, and maybe close to the freeway entrance. We'll get you up there. That's kind of what it is. Anyway, we'll say that. A little preview. All right. Again, we want you to be best prepared for this. If we add another 5 hours, what are we up to? Five hours of driving practice in between each lesson. So we'll give you 20 hours by the time you get to this emergency lesson, and you're still not really even halfway to what your parents are required to do with you. But at least we're making some headway. And you might be able to do some really good maneuvering with some sudden stopping, emergency braking, threshold braking, panic stops, Hazard avoidance, swerving out of the lane of something that's coming head on or pulling backwards into your lane. And then we stimulate things like, your hood flying up in your face. Clipboard right in front of you as you're driving. No one's around, but think about what you would do in an instance like that. Scary, huh? Panicky? Parents ever experience it? I've seen it twice in my life. What'd you do? What should you do? If you want to stop it, you can't because, well, typically you're aware when your hood flies up. Freeway, yeah, faster speeds. All right, it wasn't latched properly or whatever, and it just kicks up in that updraft, and boom, there's no putting it back down. You can't stop because you've got people behind you still doing 60, 70. Okay, what do you do if that hood flies up in your face? What do you think? Well, your problem is your visibility. So what do you do with your eyes? To help you. You could look out to the side. That helps you to side in the lateral, stay maybe in the lane or so. But now you don't know what you're coming up on in front of you. Well, we teach you this in the class. Every door has what? Hinges on it. And so you can do what? Your hood has hinges. I can see right through there. You got to get yourself down at a level in your seat so that you can actually drive yourself over to the shoulder by looking underneath the hood. So that's why we simulate, just in case something like that happens. All right? Probably won't happen. You never know. I almost had it happen to me once because a mechanic friend of mine forgot to latch that blue Mustang hood down all the way before I took it out on the freeway. See it flapping like this, and I go, oh, you know what's going to happen potentially. Get it off to the side. That's your basic behind the wheel component for the class. Okay, you've got 4 hours of driving there. You've got 4 hours of simulator time. There's 8 hours you put into it. You still haven't tested it yet. Okay, your fifth and final drive, if you see it, it's just written there as FIN, fin. All right, we want you to have another how many hours? We'll give you some recommendations on what to prepare for the final test. Get another 5 hours in. That gets you a total of 25 hours of practice in before your final test with us. Now that's not your skills test later, but you got to pass driver's ed first. You be certified your traffic safety education before you go on and do your skills test with this, for your license. Okay, 25 hours. You guys know how many parents are supposed to be doing with you to get your license in the state? They got to sign a document, something called an affidavit, proving that they did all this work with them. You guys know? If you had other children before, not quite that many. Some states have that, or more. Just double this. 50 hours. That's where the bulk of your training comes from, really, with your parents or extended family member. Okay? I'll tell you why that's important later. But 50 hours is what you're required to do in this state in order for you to have your license. Okay? Now there's another little wrinkle to it. You have to do so many hours during a really bad time of day because it's worse driving condition. The sun goes down, right? At nighttime, night falls, it's harder for you to see, harder for you to encounter, and then kind of judge where vehicles, let alone other objects, are on the road. So you have this other component. Parents are supposed to be doing at least another, well, at least 10 of these 50 hours should be at night. I always like to say, the more hours of driving at night, the better you are off anyway. Okay, you have greater experience in more hazardous, challenging environments. And it gets you better for the daylight hours. Okay? So 50 hours total, 10 of which have to be at night, at least another 40 during the day or at nighttime. Okay? That's parents' component. Let's see. We're almost done with traffic safety. We got your final. We've got, one more thing. Got your class, there's one more requirement. It's called an observation. Okay? You got to be in the back seat, observing while a friend or classmate of yours is doing a drive lesson. Okay? You have to do that at least once. We like you to do it 2 or 3 times, especially if you're coming together. If you guys are carpooling or whatever, sign up for a 2-hour block and you really take advantage of some lessons from an instructor. You got to do that at least once. So 1 hour, 30 hours class, 5 hours total of behind the wheel, 4 hours total of simulator. What is that? It's all spread out there, but what does that equal? Tally it all up. How much? Somebody said it, yeah. Yeah. There you go. You got 1 full work week. Full-time work, okay, to get through driver's ed. That's all it is. It's just spread out over time. We want to spread out over time because it takes you a while to get these things down. It's a complex task, this thing we call driving. Okay, eyes, hands, feet, and thinking, judging. All right, using your head, being ready to react, and react appropriately, not inappropriately on the road. Okay, to do that requires a good, sometimes habit formation requires you to do something 28, 30 times in repetition, over and over. We find we just can't get to that level of habit formation if we're speeding you through the process. Now, some of you are probably close to your license, or you've been on your permit. How long do you have to be on your permit before you can get your license? You guys know? 6 months. Anybody close to that? Here? Yeah? Huh?
Passed it.
Pass it. All right, do this for me, would you, please? On the front of your folder, write priority on drives. We give priority to the people that have been on their permit for so long. Parents want them to be driving already, taking their younger siblings to and fro. Still pushing my third born, 16-year-old, getting her license. So we want to give you that priority on the drives themselves. And you're definitely ready. You don't have to work for that 5 hours of preparation. Okay? All right, so 6 months on your permit. We call that the IP, instructional permit. Okay? And, well, how old are you guys? What's another requirement? 16. 16. There it is. Okay, so you've got to be 16 years of age. 16 years. All right. 6 months, 16 years of age, at least. Anything else before you get your license? What? Yeah. Sitting there in the seat is what he's gesturing. Call that traffic safety education. Sitting in the seat, behind the wheel. By the way, your behind the wheel lessons don't count toward those 50 hours. There are lessons that we're required to do by the state, separate from your experience, your driving experience. Got to do that. We already talked about that. 50 hours of experience, traffic safety ed, everything we talked about already. Any other requirement? You have to do this? Yeah? Because you're what? You're 16. How old would you have to be and then not have to do driver's ed? 18, that's right. Yeah, you're an adult then. Okay? There's a movement actually to get 18, 19, 20-year-olds to have to do it too. Maryland already requires everybody under 25 to do it. If they haven't taken driver's ed, even from another state before, they have to go back into a class and go through driver's ed. And there's a movement here to do that. Some states are trying to push the 16-year limit back up to 17. Some countries require what? 18 to get your license. Japan, European countries, Germany especially, England. Okay? Why?
Maturity.
Maturity, yeah, definitely. Why do we allow it here? Why do you guys want it? What's driving you at 16?
Freedom.
It's freedom. Okay. Freedom. It's independence, right? Freedom. Okay. Well, with that comes what? Some responsibilities. And not all 16, 17-year-old boys have that in their minds when they're out there trying to you know, get home late at night. Or passing their friend on the road. What are they gonna do if they're souped up? You know, 300Z. That requires you to, you know, get to a certain level of maturity to mix with the general population out there. It takes a while to do that. You guys know that on average, you're not going to be, you know, at the competency level until what age with the rest of the driving population? Well, it's beyond 17, it's actually beyond 18 years of age. It may take you as many as 5 years, as many as 5 years, just to get average. That's the average competency level on the road. At 16, that would get you to what? 21. Hey, magic number, right? 21. Things change with your license. Get to do what? You get. I wasn't going there. Drink. At 21, you get to do something special. Me or Miss Patty, your parents. Well, you're on your IP right now. What are you required to have by law in the car? Yeah, definitely. So many of you. 30% of the driving population doesn't. 3 out of 10 cars out there, no insurance whatsoever. Go east of the mountains, it's worse out in like Yakima, Tri-Cities. It's upwards of 60, 65%. Okay. For you to be in the car driving, can you just drive alone? Gotta have who? Not just people, certain people. Who? Family? Which one? Okay, adult, at what age? There it is, 21. At 21 years of age, when you're at 5 years of competency level, you get to do what? You get to teach others how to drive. That's a privilege too, and a big responsibility. 21 years of age. And also how many years on the driver's license? 5. It's actually a problem with the law. I just noticed one statute says 3 years, the other statute says 5 years. We're going to go with the main statute because what you guys are going for here is a certain kind of license. And I'm going to show you that in a little video presentation here. It's not a regular license, sorry. It's a certain restricted license. And about 26 states across the country have this license. And guess what they do as a result? You're going to learn. It goes to actually saving people's lives. It helps. The 26 states that have this have dramatic reductions in teen fatality rates. And they're going to tell you by how much. But what's the license you're going for? Called IDL. It's not a regular driver, it's not a CDL, it's not an EDL, that's your enhanced driver's license, but it is an intermediate driver's license. By intermediate, we mean it's a beginning. All right, there's some things that are attached to it that are restricted, and then some along the way you graduate through the program. It's sometimes often called that actually a GDL, a graduated driver's license. Here's your graduated license program in the state. Just a little quick 7-8 minute film. And it shows you what those restrictions are. Parents need to know it because it has to do with curfew hours, passage, things of major importance to your lives here. We'll talk about it at the end.